The world is fast changing and news breaks at lightning speed. Let us guide you through events and stories about global narratives and developments in geopolitics, diplomacy, foreign affairs, and world economy. Get factual and multi-angle perspectives on stories around the globe. Global Television brings you Diplomatic Perspective every Monday and Friday at 9 p.m. with Ramsey Enoch Agbo. Diplomatic Perspective, the world in front of you.
Hello and welcome to Diplomatic Perspective on Global Television. It's a beautiful day and I'm excited to come on your way again. My name is Ramsey Enoch Agbo. We need to look at the economic community of West African states. Just today in the National Daily, we heard that, of course, Nigeria is saying to ECOWAS that they need to take South Africa to the African Union because of the xenophobic attack going on there. So we want to do an assessment of ECOWAS activities and check their growth level so far. And joining me on the conversation is a policy analyst, an international foreign policy analyst. Is a foreign policy analyst, as a matter of fact, in the person of Raymond Enoch, who is going to be joining me in the conversation today. Because if you look at the activities of ECOWAS, that's the Economic Community of West African States, you will discover that some were disgruntled a few months ago and left. Now, it is South Africa and West Africa. Then we also look at the activities. How have ECOWAS been faring lately? As we speak, there is a meeting of ECOWAS going on where we have our own our vice president attending. We'll look at all of this and the growth level of ECOWAS, all right, as a body. All right, it's good to have you join us, Raymond, on the program today. Thank you very much. Let's go ahead. What do you think of ECOWAS? Is ECOWAS growing? Is ECOWAS reducing in its power? As it is, so many things happening in ECOWAS. What are the activities of ECOWAS so far for Nigerians so that they can know, and people in the diaspora, because this is Diplomatic Perspective? Oh, all right. As a matter of fact, ECOWAS as a body have done so much. That is the Economic Community of West African States. Different West African states coming together to form ECOWAS. But as it is right now, some persons may want to know what the activities of ECOWAS is. ECOWAS is the body that is shouldered with the responsibility of uniting the West African countries, carry out some functions in different countries. I could remember the peacekeeping mission of the Nigeria Army and other African armies. When there is problem in any of the member states, ECOWAS steps in. We could remember what happened in some of the countries that left to form their own bloc. As a matter of fact, talking about of course, Niger Republic, talking about Senegal, and of course, all the country that's left. But then, the activities of ECOWAS, some people recently begin to say, well, ECOWAS seem not to be as powerful as they were, because we remember what happened, the coup that happened in these countries, the taking over of military from the civilian rule. Some persons were expecting ECOWAS to step in. I could remember there were a lot of consultations, a lot of people said so many things that period to ensure that this coup didn't just go on the way it is supposed to, and of course the takeover, the forceful takeover, which is not suitable for democracy in Africa. But then there was no proper agreement, there was no proper arrangement, as the case may be, and we have a lot of forth and back. The issue of using force. Some persons said, well, it's better to use force. We're talking about West Africa here, and of course Nigeria is always playing the big brother in West Africa to ensure that, of course, there is peace. Okay, there is peace. But then a lot of people advise military presidents, diplomats, a lot of people advise, and what happened with the bloc actually happened, and they left to form their own. But to an extent, ECOMOG soldiers back in the days came out of ECOWAS. They were West African soldiers that actually went all out to ensure that, well, the fight in this country, take for instance Sierra Leone, calmed down, all right? And we saw how instrumental the military were in that situation, and we saw everything that happened. And after that, we saw so many other things that have happened, how the coming together of these people have brought about development in some West African countries. But in the whole of this situation, the whole of this activity, Nigeria had played the big brother's role. And of course, ECOWAS have celebrated. ECOWAS, as a matter of fact, always have people who pioneer the activities of ECOWAS. And of course, we have seen the activities recently, even though there was a change of power recently, and the people who came into the offices are doing fantastically well. And of course, there is a new administration coming up. A lot of people in West Africa are looking at what will happen. But now, let's look at Nigeria, of course, asking that ECOWAS take South Africa to African Union. When we talk about ECOWAS, we're talking about the Economic Community of West African States. But South Africa is a South African country, it's not West Africa. That's why it's been said the African Union should intervene. All right, but then with everything going on right now, it is not just Nigeria that is being affected. Not just Nigeria, other African countries are also being affected in the situation. But there are things that need to be put in place. African Union is a body that has the capacity to call South Africa to a halt. But if you look at the xenophobic attack generally, you will discover that even the government of South Africa has been quiet. Some people are giving political reasons to it. Some people are saying Nigerians and other African countries that were displaced out of South Africa, especially those that have their means of livelihood, something would be done about whatever it is, the investment, talking about the investment that they have in South Africa. But just like it is in every other part of the world, there are places that you can't just go and, of course, put up establishment and it's recognized by the government. And that has to do with people who are in the shanties. Even if there is going to be compensation for people who were sent out of South Africa, the people who are the shanty. That's a response that came from a minister in South Africa, of course. Those in the shanties, those that have their businesses in the shanty, may not have anything as in compensation. But people who have businesses registered, like there was a video making round back then that has to do with the fact that a business owner in South Africa categorically said, well, his business employed about how many people? About 35 South African citizens working in his establishment, but he was still asked to go. Then the question is, what will happen to his establishment? All right, how is he going to get started again? What is he going to do? You know, all of these are part of the reason why Nigeria is asking, because the response that came, this is a diplomatic issue. So it's not something that you can just jump as a country and say, okay, we are Nigeria, we are the big brothers in Africa. We can actually jump into the situation and just bounce on South Africans. South Africa is a sovereign state, and then looking at the situation of the country right now, apart from the fact that even going to South Africa right now with Nigeria visa, there is a way, in Nigerian passport, I beg your pardon, there's a way you are being viewed, you are being looked at. All right, all these things are problems, they are issues that needs to be dealt with. So if Nigeria is claiming to be the big brother Africa, then there is a level we need to attain. Then I don't know what effort the Nigerian government have put in place, but then you can give it to the Nigerian government, because about 1,000 plus Nigerians have been evacuated from South Africa. All right, that is an effort. That's an effort. And the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the federal government, NIDCOM, that's Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, need to be applauded for that singular act. All right. But then a lot of Nigerians are asking questions. What would be the next line of action between the Nigerian government and the South African government? Is it to go to the African Union? That's West Africa, the ECOWAS going to African Union. I'm trying to let you know some of the activities of ECOWAS now before we look at the growth level. One of the activities is to ensure that West African states are doing well. Number one, are not being maltreated by other African countries. All right. Number two, to ensure that the reign and rule in this West African states is in order. If there is need, they can call for help. I could remember Nigeria, you know, I don't know if it's because Nigeria is big brother Africa. We see Nigeria giving aids, right, to, of course, other West African countries. Apart from trying to settle crisis, there are other ways, like take Niger for instance. You see how Nigeria give them lights, Nigeria gave them so many things, most of that they share borderline and, you know, security informations and all of that. These are part of the things, the benefits that come from this body, as a matter of fact. But then some persons still question the effort and the strength of ECOWAS. Let's take a quick break. After this break, when we return, we'll look at more of the activities of ECOWAS, and we'll still look at whether or not ECOWAS is capable, all right, to handle situations in the West African states. We will return for more conversations as we bring you more details from the ECOWAS activities and, of course, the level of growth that ECOWAS has attained. I know what some people are thinking right now about the growth of ECOWAS, the new structure, everything. We'll talk about that after this break. My guest has not been able to join me so far because of some technical issues that the team is trying to resolve. We'll return with more conversations after this break. Stay with us.
The world is fast changing and news breaks at lightning speed. Let us guide you through events and stories about global narratives and developments in geopolitics, diplomacy, foreign affairs, and world economy. Get factual and multi-angle perspectives on stories around the globe. Global Television brings you Diplomatic Perspective every Monday and Friday at 9 p.m. with Ramsey Enoch Agbo. Diplomatic Perspective, the world in front of you. The world is fast changing and news breaks at lightning speed. Let us guide you through events and stories about global narratives and developments in geopolitics, diplomacy, foreign affairs, and world economy. Get factual and multi-angle perspectives on stories around the globe. Global Television brings you Diplomatic Perspective every Monday and Friday at 9 p.m. with Ramsey Enoch Agbo. Diplomatic Perspective, the world in front of you. The world is fast changing and news breaks at lightning speed. Let us guide you through events and stories about global narratives and developments in geopolitics, diplomacy, foreign affairs, and world economy. Get factual and multi-angle perspectives on stories around the globe. Global Television brings you Diplomatic Perspective every Monday and Friday at 9 p.m. with Ramsey Enoch Agbo. Diplomatic Perspective, the world in front of you.
Thank you very much for staying with us on Diplomatic Perspective this beautiful day. Of course, foreign affairs, assessment of ECOWAS activities and growth level. I'll look at a few for you as the technical people will be displaying the pictures of what we are saying. You would have a look and understanding, a better understanding of what we would be talking about right here today. Quickly, in fact, as a matter of fact, one of the things that ECOWAS does is the promoting of free movement of people, goods, and services across member states. It makes it easier. If you remember, there was a time we have what we call ECOWAS passports. All right, I don't know if you remember, there is ECOWAS passport. You know, when you have that passport, you can travel within the ECOWAS states. All right, and of course, it's going to be seamless. I don't know of countries, but then for the security reason these days, there are some things that you can't really be proud of saying, well, these things are obtainable, all right, because of the security situation. Maybe just a little check, all right, just a little check before you get into some countries. Or else, there is one of the growth in recent times, we've seen people movement within the member states, which is seamless. Apart from that, there are transactions that happen between member states, right, that is seamless. And this is the most important aspect of it. You know, one of the things that actually brings developments to nations of the world, to member states, is the diplomatic relations, the business relations, the trade relations, because import and export will be made very, very, very easy. So people who are smart enough, people who know what to do, put themselves together, and they take advantage of the fact that this is a member state. What do you need to do, first of all, as a country? You need to discover, like, take for instance, Nigeria. I could remember when the export of timber and cocoa was common to Nigeria. You know, some of these West African states, you can easily all right, do this business, and a lot of people, I know someone who was actually exporting timber, but today attention is on crude oil, crude oil. That's where attention is, especially for countries such as Nigeria. What are you supposed to do? You're supposed to sit up, know the comparative advantages of the natural resources that you have. If you don't have what it takes to take it across Africa, you can take advantage of the member states within the ECOWAS region and do the needful. You make good money, boost the economy instead of depending on the government for everything. And of course, the reception that you will get, this is because you have the right to visit these member states. All right, except maybe if you have a criminal case, or maybe your name is on the red alert or S. Movement into these member states is easy. You can do your businesses. You can live in these states. If these countries have issues, they can actually liaise with other member states that will be able to help. And that's the reason I was given the instance of the ECOMOG soldier who have traveled to Sierra Leone to calm down situations. Liberia, I could remember then, Nigerian soldiers were very formidable, you know, very strong when it comes to the ECOMOG soldier. And anytime you see a soldier putting on the ECOMOG camouflage with the ECOMOG badge, there is a level of respect that they are being accorded. People see them as well-trained soldiers because of the kind of assignment they embark on. These are the benefits. So, as it is right now, we are very optimistic that the request of Nigeria is being looked into by the economic community of West African states. They will decide. We're talking about diplomacy here. Diplomacy, we're talking about relationships. Sometimes I sit down and I ask questions. What kind of relationship exists between the West African state, the South Africans, and of course the North Africans, and of course all of the African countries? And that's the reason African Union is coming in. ECOWAS have the right to take the matter to African Union. African Union may be there watching what is happening, but then nobody has cried out to them. If this continues, it's going to bring a lot of disunity in Africa. But then ECOWAS have played a very formidable role in the affairs of the member states, and today we have a lot of results. If you look at, of course, the performance of ECOWAS recently, the change of Barton, all of us are aware of that, is another thing again, and that's another way to empower people so that they can be fired. You see new ideas being injected into ECOWAS. People coming with new ideas, you know, new policies that will drive the cause of ECOWAS, you know, that will benefit almost every member state. I will give you more details from the meeting going on right now, where our own vice president is in attendance representing the president himself. So all of this put together, it's in a bid to ensure that ECOWAS is standing firm. And you see the way Nigeria is running to ECOWAS to say, well, what is happening in South Africa, the xenophobic attack, you need to step into it and push it further to the big brother, which is the African Union, known as AU. Well, you need to do all of that so that we will have a lasting solution, so it doesn't repeat itself. Or tomorrow you hear that another African country is chasing Africans out. All right, everyone, I want to apologize first of all for the inability of our guests to join us today on Diplomatic Perspective because of technical issues. I won't say this is a wrap, as we have been able to do an assessment of ECOWAS activities and the growth level. We'll come on your way here again with another edition of Diplomatic Perspective. My name is Ramsey Enoch Agbo. Many thanks for joining us. Have a beautiful evening. Bye-bye for now.
The world is fast changing and news breaks at lightning speed. Let us guide you through events and stories about global narratives and developments in geopolitics, diplomacy, foreign affairs, and world economy. Get factual and multi-angle perspectives on stories around the globe. Global Television brings you Diplomatic Perspective every Monday and Friday at 9 p.m. with Ramsey Enoch Agbo. Diplomatic Perspective, the world in front of you.